From your authorized Siser distributor and reseller to your local Michaels store, you can get your hands on Siser EasyPatterns. Maybe you used them before, maybe you've wanted to use them before but didn't know how they worked, or maybe you've had some technical questions about them. Whatever it is, in this video we're going to go all things Siser EasyPatterns. Hey everyone, I'm Joe with Siser North America. Please hang out with me with another episode of the Decoration Zone. Okay, so I know that this may be a very involved video and you may be strapped for time, so if you want to, go look in the description right now and you can skip to the bullet points that may be more conducive for you. What are Siser EasyPatterns? EasyPatterns are printed heat transfer vinyls. EasyPatterns are sort of an outlaw to the rest of our heat transfer vinyl cuttable catalog. Why? Because you do not mirror your design before you send it to your cutter, and you also have to mask your transfer before you get it to the application process. All right, so we are going to go on to a full application from weeding to masking to the heat application with Siser EasyPatterns. But before I do that, I need to bore you with some technical stuff. So we need to stress this topic very, very much here at Siser North America, because this has been something that we either want to save you the grief or we want to answer some questions that you may have had or problems you may have had with Siser EasyPatterns. Now, this is on the topic of how to properly store your TTD High-tack mask. Now, your TTD High-tack mask is the mask you're going to use to lift up your EasyPattern transfer and bring it over to your garment. Now, the mask is essentially, to compare it to something, for those that may know our EasyWeed family, you know that sticky backing, right? So you're used to that sticky backing that comes on all our EasyWeed family products. This is essentially the same thing. So you guys know that benefit of the EasyWeed family, like the 1-second tack, the heat press trick, the quick application, and the hot peel. The reason is because we formulated this for a quick release so you don't need to wait for it to cool down. Now, this bridges into the topic that we hear a lot here at Siser North America. We do receive tech calls on, we hear it on social media, is that you may not have a successful lift from your mask to your EasyPattern, and you may not be able to get that backing off nicely. Now, I want to run through a couple scenarios with your mask and explain how to properly preserve it. Now, one thing to remember when you are using the Siser EasyPatterns and the TTD High-tack mask is kind of retrace how it is stored. From the time you went and got it to how long it may have sat in your car, where your warehouse is, or maybe where you store all your products at home. Maybe it's in your garage, somewhere where there might be high heat. Now, what's happening, and I know it sounds kind of like we're reaching here, but I promise you, this is what these products are made to do. Now, anywhere higher than 70 degrees Fahrenheit will start activating this adhesive on the high-tack mask. It's doing its job. So what's happening is it's gradually weakening this adhesive on this mask. So if you've used the EasyPatterns before and you've had this problem, maybe it was you picked it up at a store, it sat in your car too long, it got hot, you went home, you tried to mask it, but you could not release your EasyPattern. What we recommend, and I know, bear with me, this is going to sound a little bit cheesy or comical in a way, but I promise you it works. We recommend taking your TTD High-tack mask and placing it in your refrigerator for about 5 to 10 minutes. I know it sounds funny, believe me, but it does work. Now, what is happening there is you're taking it out of that heated element, that high humidity, and that cool place is allowing that adhesive on your mask to solidify. And that's what we want, because we want it to stay that high tack it's supposed to be. Now, you just give it about 5-10 minutes in that cool space, your refrigerator, ideally, or if you have a cooler space, just quick, and then to go back and then do your masking process. Now, when I say this about this product, the TTD High-tack mask, I'm talking overall the storage of all of our heat transfer vinyls. It's very important to keep them out of anywhere that's high heat, high humidity. Also, If your warehouse or where you store your Siser heat transfer vinyls may be next to a window, you're in a climate controlled area, but that window also has a lot of sunlight that comes in and may be magnifying directly on your Siser heat transfer vinyl, that can play a role on weakening the adhesive. So ideally, store it out of anywhere where you might have something like that. Store it in a climate controlled, probably down in a basement, probably in some kind of storage unit. That is going to preserve your heat transfer vinyl, and especially with your TTD High-tack mask, is going to keep it tacky so you have no problem masking your EasyPattern. So here's a scenario for you. I'm going to place my TTD High-tack mask right there. Now, we're in the Siser studio. I have my heat press on, ready to go. I have to still do my application. I have to weed, I have to do the masking portion, and then I have to get to the application. This right here, putting my high-tack mask right near my heat press while this is on, this is 305 degrees, emitting that heat towards this area. And I can feel it, that it warms up your space. So if you store, while you're in the middle of your production, your layer of TTD High-tack mask or your sheet of TTD High-tack mask right underneath your heat press or near your home iron, this could also cause a problem instantly. Oh, you guys are still hanging out. I know that was a lot of information, thank you, but I have more for you. So let's begin. Now, the other thing to look out for when you are cutting your Siser EasyPatterns, again, to make sure you are cutting correctly. You are cutting, but not too deep. I know you're like, Joe, but isn't that the purpose of cutting heat transfer vinyl, to cut all the way through it? Absolutely. But again, we're dealing with the outlaw EasyPatterns, right? So they're a product that needs a little bit more finesse when it comes to cutting. The problem is if you cut too deep, you may also see this, right? You cut all the way through it, now your design is completely destroyed. Now, you may have a perfect cut where when you weed it out, everything weeds out perfect, it doesn't pop all the way back out of the backing, but you also have too much pressure, which is causing the edges of your EasyPattern to pinch into the grooves of your cut line. Now I know you're like, well, what does that matter, or what does that even mean? The problem there is when it comes to the masking. Now the masking, when you go to do this next process we're gonna show, is when you go to try to rip the backing off, it doesn't release off of the backing of the EasyPattern. The problem is because the edges of your EasyPattern are pinched into the edges of your cut line. Now, this is where we stress about all of our Siser heat transfer vinyls or any of our Siser products. We always recommend that no matter what vinyl cutter you're using, you always perform a test cut. Now, we do have some awesome recommendations on our website at SiserNA.com. You can check out in the Siser EasyPattern tab what we recommend for the EasyPatterns with what vinyl cutter you might have. Now remember, they are just recommendations. So what you need to do is take the time to make sure you dial it in exactly how it needs to be and perform a test cut. Now, vinyl cutters have an option for a test cut usually, but if they don't, just create a small design that may be about 1 inch wide, 1 inch height, whatever it is. Cut something, weed out the excess, and look at the backing. Now, if you see a thick score, now what's a score? A score is the lines, the engraving you see from the blade of your vinyl cutter that gets indented into the backing of the EasyPattern. You need to pay attention to make sure that that isn't too deep, because that could be a problem when it comes to masking. So take your time setting up your vinyl cutter before you do your entire run, and I promise you, the masking process is gonna be a breeze. Okay, again, I'm very, very sorry for all of that technical jargon that was thrown your way. It was only because we wanna make sure you don't waste your time, we don't waste your money, you don't waste your products, and you do have success and fun with the Siser products. So, without further ado, I am going to now get into the full application process for Siser EasyPattern. All right, so we have everything good to go. We have our cut piece. Now, before we get here, I just want to show you a pretty common mistake, because for those that are Siser fans, they use all our Siser heat transfer vinyls, you guys know that with all our other products, we recommend mirroring your cut design. So I'm sure many of you have probably seen this if you've used EasyPatterns, where you accidentally mirrored your design. So I'm looking at this backwards right now, which naturally, if I was working with EasyWeed, this would be good. But the problem is this is not EasyWeed. So if I weed out all this stuff, I can't go to my garment and heat apply it, and this is not gonna work for me because I need to get this off the backing and onto the garment. So the way you see it is the way it's gonna go onto your garment. So this is why it's very important to remember, EasyPatterns, don't mirror it. I know we had a lot of different scenarios. I promise this one is successful. So we did not mirror this cut. First thing you're gonna do, just like everything else, we're gonna weed out our excess material. So all you're gonna do is remove all your excess. Again, do not mirror your EasyPattern. The way you see it is the way it's gonna be applied onto your garment or whatever you're pressing it onto. And it doesn't have the pressure sensitive backing again, so you can't use the heat press trick. This is one process where you have to stay, but as you can see, it still weeds really nicely. We have a good cut. Now, here is the next important step, what we've been talking about all before. Taking your TTD High-tack mask. Remember, TTD High-tack mask is what you want to use with your Siser EasyPattern. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get a sheet of this high-tack mask, whether you get it from an authorized Siser distributor reseller or you get it out of a roll that you can get at Michael's. Now this is adhesive. As you can see, it's sticky. So you want to save your paper backing. Just hang on to this. You may want to use it for later. I'll show you why. Work on a smooth, flat surface, nothing uneven. I place the adhesive side facing up on this table. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your EasyPattern transfer, and you can either start from one end and roll it across or start in the center and roll it to the sides. I personally go from the one end and I roll it across. It doesn't matter either way you do it. Just make sure it's even. Then you're gonna take your Siser squeegee and ideally start in the center and apply pressure. This is important because you're creating a bond between the EasyPattern and the high-tack mask. So create some pressure and work your way out. So what this is doing is drawing out all the air pockets, creating the bond between the mask and the EasyPattern, and make sure you do this evenly throughout your entire transfer. Now this is important too. So say you got to this point, but you didn't want to apply it right away. Unfortunately, you can't leave it like this. You can't put it on your shelf for later. You need to peel this backing off, because if you left this on here for too long, that backing can get stuck to your high-tack mask, and then when you try to peel it, it's going to be impossible. So what we recommend, after you just did your squeegeeing, peel the backing of your EasyPattern and grip and rip it down. So what you want to do, hold it on an angle like that and pull down and let gravity help you rip that backing off. As you saw, super successful. Now, if you didn't want to apply this right away, that's why you save your paper backing. Now this paper backing has a waxy side, so what you're going to do is lay that back down onto your waxy side of your backing of the mask. Now I can store this for later, and I can peel that paper backing at any time. All right, now we're on to the best part, the application portion, which is my favorite part, and probably yours because you get to see your finished good. But I want to let you guys know before you get into it, because today I'm going to use a heat press, but if you're using a home iron or an easy press, you can absolutely use those for Siser EasyPatterns. Just make sure you follow the correct application instructions for those. And be sure you are applying pressure, which means that you do need to put down some force when you are applying it. Now, I'm going to move on to the heat press. So with your heat press instructions, you're going to be set just like EasyWeed to 305 degrees, and we're going to press for about 10 to 15 seconds. So the first thing I'm going to do is check the pressure. So you want to make sure that your pressure on your press is even. Also, make sure that whatever garment you're using has an even space, nothing that has any kind of buttons or seams or collars or zippers, because that's when you're going to want to make sure you use a pressing pillow or something that gives you adequate pressure. So the first thing we're going to do on this awesome flat surface is check our pressure. So you want to be at about a medium to firm pressure with EasyPatterns, because they're a very thin product and require the adequate pressure. So that looks good. First thing we're going to do, let that set for a couple seconds. That's preheating, taking out some of the wrinkles and moisture, because if you're working with cotton or polyester, they may retain some moisture, so that just kind of takes out the moisture, gives you a flat surface to press on. Now again, we save that paper backing. Now this is garbage, so we don't need that. And now we're going to lay our EasyPattern onto our garment. And then use a cover sheet. You can use a non-stick cover sheet, or if you have parchment paper, that absolutely works as well. And then we're going to press this for about 13 seconds. All right. So what's also awesome about the Siser EasyPatterns is it is a hot peel. So I don't need to wait around to peel that. I can peel it right away. And there you have it. Check this out. What do you guys think? And that's all it takes to use EasyPatterns on any kind of custom design or textile you want to come up with. I know you guys are going to come up with something awesome. I know that video was a lot of information, but I hope it helped, because obviously our objective here at Siser is to make your life a lot simpler and have a flawless experience with Siser heat transfer vinyls. Now, I know I showed you one pattern, which is one of my personal favorites, which is the buffalo plaid. If you want to see the forever changing catalog of Siser EasyPatterns, feel free to visit us at SiserNA.com. Click on the EasyPatterns tab, scroll on down, check out all the different swatches we offer. There you can also see the cutter recommendations we have, as well as the heat application suggestions. I have one more thing I want to mention right before all this closing, is that with Siser EasyPatterns, we do not recommend layering anything on top of it. So I hope that clears up a question. In case you want to use EasyPatterns with other Siser products, that's okay. Just do not layer anything on top of your EasyPattern. Now, if you wanted to layer EasyPatterns on top of EasyWeed or any of the EasyWeed family, that's okay, just not vice versa. Now, with that being said, I promise you I'm done with all the information. I just want to let you guys know to make sure to check out all of our social medias. If you're not in the Siser North America support group, please join the group. The group has a lot of fun. We share different projects. We influence each other. We ask questions, and you're going to get answers there. So if you have more questions about Siser EasyPatterns, feel free to chime in there, or any of our other heat transfer vinyls. Now, if you're looking to get your hands on some Siser EasyPatterns today, you need to contact your authorized Siser distributor or authorized Siser reseller, or you can go to your local Michaels store. If you don't have an authorized Siser distributor or authorized Siser reseller, feel free to contact us at info@SiserNA.com, and we will get you in touch with one of them. Thank you guys so much for sticking around for another episode of The Decoration Zone. I'm Joe with Siser North America, and I will talk to you all very soon.